Hello everyone in CIS-115. We're still in week 12 working with Python list, and this lecture is designed to give you a pattern and the knowledge that you need to complete Project 6. Now, Project 6 is taking the pizza program that you created for one of the exams in the conditionals chapter and modifying it such that it doesn't require a single if statement. Now, this program that's linked here in the project instructions, it talks about list processing program demonstration, is a perfect pattern for this project. So let's take a look at that list processing program here. And as you can see, this program is a sales program similar to the pizza program. It presents the user with what we would call a menu, and then it prompts them to enter 1, 2, 3, or 4. If they type in a 2, then they selected 14 gauge wire. The program makes that decision, and it comes back with this line that says that's 14 gauge at 39 cents a foot, and then it turns around and does another input statement to ask them how many feet they need. They typed in 100 in this example, and so 100 times 39 cents a foot gives them a total of $39. So this can be done without a single if statement. Now, I'm sure you've seen folks doing synchronized dancing where, the guy moves his arms one way and the girl moves her arms that way or whatever. So basically, they're doing exactly the same thing. So this program, the way we'll implement it is we can implement it with three lists. One list will have the menu options 1, 2, 3, and 4. Another list will have the description for the wire, 18 gauge at 30 cents a foot, 14 gauge here. These are all the descriptions, okay? And lastly, we'll have a third list that has the prices, 30 cents, 39 cents, 51 cents, and 79 cents. So this program will have three lists in it. And like we were talking about the dancing, these lists are all synchronized. So if we find the 2 in our list of menu options and we see that the 2 is at an index of 1, remember the list indexes are 0 based, so the option 1 here would be at 0, option 2 would be at 1, 3 would be at 2, and so on. So once we find out where this menu option 2 is in our first list, we can use that to get to the price from the prices list. We can use that to get to the description from the descriptions list. So let's go about creating this program to make these lists. I'll start Tawny up and I'll create a new program, and we're going to need some variables. So create a variable for the cable gauge. And we can just say cable gauge equals 0. I can type a 0 here. Okay, create one for the cost of the cable. Zero point 0, it's going to be a float. Create a variable for the feet ordered. Okay, we've got our 3 variables. Let's create our 3 synchronized lists. Here's our first list. Choices 1, 2, 3, and 4. These choices right here match the choices on our menu 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that's where they're coming from. Our synchronized list of gauges, okay, and just for making this easy to see, I'm going to try to line all these up where you can see that they're synchronized. But our first one is 18 gauge, and that's going to be a string. Okay, so that's 1. You can see here I'm lining them up so that you can tell where everything matches. Okay, and the next one is going to be for our 14 gauge. We'll line that one up. Okay, next one is going to be, you don't have to line these things up, okay? I'm just doing it so that it's real apparent that this goes with that, okay? So the alignment makes no difference other than just trying to make it easier for people to understand. And option 3, as you can see, matches our 10 gauge wire. So we've got 1 left here, and that's going to be our 8 gauge wire. Okay, so those all match. So we've got one more list to make of our prices. We can call it cost per foot equals, you get the, make sure everything's lined up for folks that like to see that. Okay, so our prices, our cost, whatever you want to call it, cost per foot, is going to have 4 elements in that list, just like the previous ones. All 3 lists had exactly 4 elements. You can see there's our 30 cents for our 18 gauge. Here's our 39 cents for our 14 gauge. Put a comma there. I'm trying to line it up on the commas. Okay, just so it's plain. Our next one is 51 cents. Okay, again, all 3 lists have exactly 4 elements in them. Now, if your pizza program has more sizes than that, then obviously you would need more elements in your list to match up. Okay, so there's everything. There's our 3 list that we're going to use. This is actually a pretty short program once you do this. Lots of few if statements going on. So get the choice from the user. Here's where we're going to print, and we can copy that from our project instructions. It says, what gauge wire would you like? Okay, we'll copy that. Here's going to be our print. Just copy and paste, right? Save that typing. Okay, next line is going to be another print, and it's going to give all the sizes. And again, you don't have to type all that out. You could actually just copy it. Okay, got all that. Put quotes around it so Python's happy. All right, let's get our choice or pick, whatever you want to call it, the choice from the user. Pick equals input, and this is where we're going to prompt them. And if you remember right here, it says please enter 1, 2, 3, or 4. That's our prompt for our input statement. So again, that's going to have quotes around it. So there's our quotes. Okay, got that. At this point, we have what they typed in, 1, 2, 3, or 4. We need to search this choices list and figure out where whatever they typed in is located here in this list. So we can do that real easy with the index function for a list. So we'll save that in an integer variable that's going to be the location of wherever that was in the list. So the location, just we'll find that. Our choices list is what we're going to search. So choices.index. Index is the function that will find something in there. We're searching for what they typed in, which is their pick, right? So pick's going to have 1, 2, 3, or 4 in it. We're going to take that. We're going to search through this. We're going to figure out where it is. So once we've got that, list location will have the index of what they typed in. Okay? And we can use this to get to everything in these other lists. So once we know where the choice is, we know where the gauge is, we know where the price is. So cable up here, cable gauge equals gauges square bracket list location, square bracket. All we're doing is using list indexing to get to the gauge for whatever they typed in, and we're saving it in the cable gauge. Next, we're getting the cable cost, and that's in our cost per foot list. Dot index. Excuse me, we don't have to search. We already know where it is. Okay, so at this point we have not done a single if statement, and we have all the numbers at this point. So we need to print out that line right here in our program that is all this. That's 14 gauge at a cost of this. I'll copy that so that I can get that to print the way I want it here. We know it's going to have quotes around it. Now, this is one piece of the string, right? The 14 gauge comes from right here, the cable gauge. So okay, so I've got that. This is another piece of the string at a cost of, and the 39 cents per foot is something that this slash per foot is a string. Okay, the 0.39 is in the cable cost. Okay, so let's try this out up to this point and see if it's working. Save this as menu list demo.py. We'll say yes. Okay, and we'll run it. There's our program running. It's asking us to type in a 1, 2, 3, or 4. How about we go for option 4, which should be 8 gauge wire at 79 cents a foot. So I'm going to type a 4 in. And it's saying 4 is not in the list. So what's going on? Why is it blowing? You got to remember that right here, when we do this input gives us what? Input gives us a string. What is in our list of choices here? Ints. So if I want this index right here to be able to find it, I'm going to have to convert what's coming in from the input into an int. Okay. Now your pizza program's got letters, I think, A, B, C, and D, so you'll have to handle that a little differently. It might actually be a little easier than what we're doing here. Okay, so let's try this again now. It says please enter 1, 2, 3, or 4, and I was wanting the 8 gauge wire, so I'm going to type a 4 in. And now the 4 is getting changed into an integer. So there actually are integers in that choices list. And as you can see down here, it responded with that's 8 gauge at a cost of 39 cents per foot. Okay, so that's exactly what's supposed to print out there. So what's the next part of our program need to do? We've got it working. It needs to ask how many feet do they need. So we'll go back here, and in our program we'll get the feet that we need. So we can use a variable called feet ordered equals input. How many feet do you need? Okay. Remember, input gives you a string. We can't do that math with a string, so we're going to need to convert this feet ordered into a number, just like we had to do with the choice. So int is the function that will convert that into a number. Okay, so now we've got the number of feet ordered in this variable. So we can do our last calculation and get that total price. Total cost equals cable cost times feet ordered. Okay. And we're down to just printing out the last message. Print. What are we printing out at the end of the program? Your total is $39 or whatever. So right here, your total is okay. And I think it had a $sign in there, so we can go ahead and put the $sign. Yeah, had the $sign. The cost is right here. Let's run this and see what it looks like. 4 at 100 feet. Your total is 79.0. We just finished a chapter on string formatting. You may recall that we could format this. Doing string formatting, it would be this to get the decimal places. Total cost, a colon. If we wanted to allow for 3, how about we needed something like this? How many spaces would I need to allow for that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our field width is 6, and then we have the dot, and then we have the 2, and we want to format this total cost. We want to format that as a float because it is a float. We have our other squiggly bracket, our quote, and then format this right here, that's all we need there. Format total cost, and then we close our parenthesis for our print statement. So that should give us our total cost formatted correctly. Let's try it. $79. Okay. So that's the project example program. Your project that you have to do is very similar. As you can see, they're requiring A, B, C, and D. It's printing out OK medium. Remember, the extra large is that price. Remember, your extra large is supposed to use the last 4 digits of your student ID. So if my student ID is 81325, I would use the 1325. That makes this price for the extra large $13.25 instead of $22.99. So there are some challenges here that you can do if you want to earn extra credit. You could implement a loop to do some error handling so that unless they give you one of the options that's in that list, it will keep looping and tell them they've selected an invalid menu option. You can also implement error handling so that if the person that's running the program types in an invalid number, instead of typing in a number they typed in an A or a B, then the program would blow if you didn't have some error handling in there. So you could implement that. Each one of these is worth 2.5 points, so you could earn a total of 5 points extra credit on the project. Okay, you've got a good example of how to make this work. Good luck with Project 9. Good luck with the Code Lab and the homework questions for this module. And have a safe and healthy week. Take care.